Hey guys, welcome to today's episode. And I'm so excited to have Dr. Wendy Myers, and she's of Myers Detox. And today we are going to be talking about detoxing, fatigue, hormones, increase energy, clearing brain fog, and so much more. So, Dr. Wendy, welcome.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
So obviously you are super passionate about detoxing your body, and more than ever, we are having just more things coming at us. So give us kind of your top things that you recommend for detoxing the body, and kind of what are you seeing the problem areas right now?
Well, I think there's a huge issue with hormones and fertility in relation to toxins and heavy metals and chemicals that interfere in our very delicate hormonal system. And it's causing women a lot of issues with hormone imbalance, estrogen dominance, low progesterone and testosterone. Stress also doesn't help with that. Stress will also suppress the production of sex hormones. But we also see dramatic reduction in fertility. We see women having, worse PMS symptoms. They have, they have more negative symptoms going into perimenopause and menopause. And a lot of this can be, attributed to toxins like heavy metals and chemicals like glyphosate, pesticides, PUFAs, things of that nature, like what's on the nonstick pans, things like that.
So I'm going to ask you a couple questions that we have from listeners, but I do want you to talk about these hormones and why we're seeing an influx of men and women that are low in testosterone for both men and women, and then obviously women who are low in progesterone and progesterone and what's
estrogen.
Mm-hmm. Estrogen. I'm what am I thinking?
Yeah. Well, you know what? We have a lot of different metals and chemicals that act like estrogens in our body. They're called xenoestrogens. And a lot of these are in our beauty care products, and in our cleaners we're using in our home. But they're also in the air, food, and water, even if you use natural products and natural cleaners in your home. And so these products will attach on to the receptor sites in our cells and mimic estrogen. And our body thinks we have enough estrogen. They don't do the job of estrogen, but our body gets the message. We have plenty of estrogen in all these receptors, and it lowers the production of estrogen or other hormones. It works the same with other hormones. Or these metals will poison enzymes that convert one hormone to another. The same goes for our thyroid hormones. We have a lot of different heavy metals that interfere in the production of your thyroid hormones, things like chlorine and fluoride. Fluoride's in your toothpaste and maybe in your mouthwash, and then chlorine if you go swimming a lot or have a jacuzzi, or bromine. Sometimes you have bromines used in jacuzzis. Those will get into your thyroid and mimic thyroid hormones. It'll block iodine uptake in your thyroid, which what your thyroid hormones are made of. So a lot of people have low thyroid hormone production as well because of these different toxins. And then I mentioned that a lot of different enzymes are being poisoned so we have DHEA, that is a precursor to make a lot of hormones. That can be poisoned, the production of that can be poisoned by heavy metals and chemicals. So there's a lot of different mechanisms by which heavy metals and chemicals interfere in the production and conversion of our sex, stress, and thyroid hormones.
So let's talk about, I've heard different people talking about the people having iodine deficiency and you being low in iodine, somehow, addressing that to the thyroid deficiency. So talk about how the two of those are combined, because I've actually heard different people saying, one doctor says that too much iodine isn't good for your thyroid. And then another one saying, well, yeah, but we have a lot of people who are iodine deficient. But then again, we're taking, if you think about people who just used iodized salt. And a lot of people say, well, people aren't iodine deficient because of the iodized salt. What is your position on that?
Yes, well, I think generally across the board, people are eating less salt, and doctors are telling people erroneously to lower their salt intake. And then the iodized salt is sodium chloride. It's, just table salt. That is not good for us, even though it contains just a tiny little bit of iodine. It's not that much. It's not enough to meet our daily requirements. And I think a lot of people that are, health conscious are eating sea salt. Very, very rare to see an iodized sea salt. And so you really you want to eat lots of sea salt, like as much as you can tolerate. Okay, because we are deficient in minerals. So as far as the iodine, you really need to supplement it, because you're not going to get enough in, even if you do eat iodized sea salt, you're not going to get enough. And so in the Japanese eat 5,000 to 6,000 per day of iodine, and they don't, they're very, very, they have a lot of different sources of iodine in their diet, a lot of seaweed and fish and things of that nature. We don't as much. We're not eating seaweed for the most part, unless you're actively attempting to do that. So I do recommend people take iodine. I think across the board, the majority of people are iodine deficient, because it's just, there's no sources of it in our diet. There's not very many high quality sources in our environment. And so I personally take iodine. I like iodorol. It has 2 forms of iodine in it. So that will meet our different requirements for iodine, different forms, do different jobs in the body. But there's lots of good options out there. You can also just take kelp supplements. Those are also great. You take probably 6 capsules a day. But more importantly, you want to make sure you start low and then titrate up, because once you start feeding iodine to your thyroid, and your thyroid's like, oh, it kicks into gear, you can have kind of feel a little bit anxious or awake or have heart palpitations and things of that nature as your thyroid hormones are revving up. So you want to just start slowly and titrate your way up, whether you're doing kelp or iodine supplementation. And you want minimum 300 milligrams a day, maybe start there, and you work your way up to 2,000-3,000 milligrams per day. So you need quite a bit, and we're not getting it in our diet.
I want to talk to you guys today about brain fog and difficulty focusing. It seems like everybody right now is having trouble recalling names and dates and where you left things. So if that's you, I've got some good news for you. Nutopia, which is powered by Bioptimizer, has created this new product called Collagenius. It actually has collagen, cocoa, cacao, and 4 different kinds of mushrooms. And this really helps fight brain fog. So I've tried it. I really like it. It's actually sweetened with stevia. And so it kind of tastes like a rich chocolate elixir. And you just literally make it with water or any kind of dairy-free milk, or if you like regular milk, you could do that. And if you want, you can actually mix it with your morning coffee. And so it's kind of like a mood-boosting mocha. And there's no risk. Like if you don't like it, it's a 365-day full money-back guarantee. So go to nutopia.com/wasteawaygenius and use wasteaway10 during the checkout.
Well, and, like you said, people who are, if they're on a vegan diet, like if you think about the food sources that are high in iodine, seaweed would be like number 1, right? And then like fish and shellfish, then, dairy, eggs, chicken, beef, that has some, but when you're talking about that, what about people who are on a vegan diet and they do not have iodine at all? Really? Because what if you were vegan, what would you have? I guess you could have seaweed, or do
I just recommend not doing the vegan diet.
Yeah,
because I just don't think. I think it's there's a small percentage of people that can kind of get away with the inherent nutritional deficiencies in that diet. Some people that seem to do okay, but the majority of people just really are not going to fare well. And they might not notice it initially. They might feel better initially, but I think down the line, 2, 3, 4 years, they're going to start having some serious health issues, and they're not going to attribute it to their diet. And so it starts with fatigue, brain fog, lack of omega-3 fats, dental decay. They don't have enough minerals. You need saturated fat for minerals, teeth and bones. They start getting osteoporosis. They just start having a lot of issues that aren't readily apparent. But yeah, I don't recommend that diet at all. Can't condone it.
All right, this is from Sandy Jagetharist from Jonesboro, Arkansas. My mom lives in Jonesboro, Arkansas, Sandy. So I would just say hi to my mom. But she says, I'm going through premenopause and I'm currently taking bioidentical hormones, a very low dose of all three from a compound pharmacy. I just took some more blood tests and all of my levels are low. I'm still getting my period. I just turned 50 and I'm having night sweats. Any advice?
Yeah, so typically when people have night sweats, they're not getting enough estrogen. And because our estrogen controls our body temperature to a certain degree. And so probably it's a sign that she needs to increase her estrogen levels. And I'm all for taking bioidentical hormones. I mean, it really takes a lot to detox your body to get to the point where your body is able to make the levels of hormones that are sufficient for you. And a lot of women feel so much better taking bioidentical hormones. But yeah, it just sounds like she needs more estrogen if she's having night sweats.
So have you taken any bioidentical hormones? Are you a fan of them? And do you have any suggestion of whether they should take a cream method or take some orally or take it on like the pellets method?
Yeah, I personally have not done anything except for a cream. And so I just turned 50 last month, but I just have found I don't personally need it, but a lot of women do. But I did get a lot of help. I think a lot of women need progesterone. And I really like Dr. Platt's progesterone cream because the creams need to be about 5% in concentration. And so I really, really like his progesterone cream. I did find that I slept better. I felt more calm. It really helped me a lot. And I also, he also has an estrogen cream that's really, really nice as well. So you can try those. They're all natural. And if you find you need a little bit more help, you don't have enough of an alleviation of your symptoms, yeah, you may want to go up to doing a pellet or doing, capsules or what have you. But for me, the pellets, my only problem with those is you may not, if it's not working for you, have to go to the doctor and have them removed again. So I think the creams are a really nice way to start. And really everyone is different in how they respond to the different modalities and what they need. It's one thing is for sure, if you are doing prescription type bioidentical hormones, they need to be monitored pretty closely to get your dosage right, because our bodies are innately intelligent. We are, and it's really difficult to mimic how exacting that our body can get when it comes to hormone production and regulation and whatnot. So you really have to kind of keep a tight eye on that and go to a specialist.
Yeah, I like that. So one of the things that I have been experiencing myself, and we've had some other listeners, I'll read a question in a minute, is about headaches around their period. And so that I personally have been having more headaches. I take Tylenol 4 times a year. That's it. Like I'm so anti-Tylenol. I just won't take it. And for me personally, I have been taking some very small doses of some estrogen and progesterone and a little bit of testosterone as well. And I've been getting, I throughout the month, even more around my period, but really throughout the month, I'm getting more headaches than I've ever had in my life. And so I'm wondering if it really is hormonal or if it's something else, or what are you seeing are kind of the biggest causes of headaches? Like if someone came to you and they're like, man, I'm just having major headaches, what would you say is usually the cause of it?
Yeah. So number one, I would be looking at stress levels and, and getting massages. Because if you have a lot of muscular tension, especially if you're a type A personality, or you have just a little bit more stress going on than usual, you definitely need to do body work and just release all of that stress. Exercise helps release stress. Getting plenty of sunlight, because we create energy through our diet, but we also create energy through our biophotons and our mitochondria. So you need to get sunlight to charge up your bio battery. Minerals. Most people are very mineral deficient, especially magnesium. If you don't have enough magnesium, you're going to have muscle tension around the heads, the temples. You need magnesium for, thousands of processes in your body. And if you don't have adequate magnesium, you can get headaches. Certainly, and it doesn't, you're not going to increase your magnesium levels overnight to just stop a headache immediately, but it takes maybe a few weeks or even a few months to replete magnesium levels. Magnesium glycinate, magnesium malate is really good. Epsom salt baths with magnesium sulfate are amazing. Magnesium threonate is specifically for the brain. So that's really helpful. It's good to maybe have all of those forms on rotation, but definitely if you have headaches, if you have emotional stress going on, getting into salt water really helps to dissipate those negative emotions into the water. That's why we kind of naturally gravitate towards the bath and we're stressed or emotionally not feeling so great, because those emotions do release. There's a frequency, and then that just releases really nicely into the water. So Epsom salt baths are key. Toxins definitely can play a role in that. So, infrared sauna, ionic foot baths are great but that's a long-term strategy. If toxins like mercury and aluminum and lead, and there's other metals that are kind of very neurophilic, they like that fat tissue in the brain. And then also, if people, there was one other one that was really, food sensitivities. Food sensitivities can cause headaches, gluten, dairy, eggs, and, there might be a food you've eaten your whole life and then all of a sudden you just can't tolerate it anymore. That can definitely be contributing to headaches, and that can be kind of challenging to figure out what those are. I have a lot of information on my website about how to do a food elimination diet. There's also food sensitivity testing that you can do. Headaches are one of those things. There's a lot of different contributing causes, so you just kind of have to pick them off one by one to see what's contributing to that.
Ladies, are you feeling completely stressed and completely overwhelmed by life right now? Well, join the club. I'm feeling that way too. But if you're having trouble just feeling like you can't lose weight, the scale's not moving, and if any of this sounds like you, I want to just ask you about your magnesium, because magnesium is involved in so many different processes in the body, and some of the things that it does, it really helps calm your nervous system so you can feel happy and relaxed. It helps your blood sugar, it helps your blood pressure, and it actually helps with burning fat. It also is involved in your hormones. So if you're struggling with PMS or menopause symptoms, that is something you want to look at too. And the stats are out. There's different stats that say that up to 80% of women aren't getting enough magnesium. So if you're stressed, you actually need more magnesium, and then you go into this vicious cycle. So that's why I'm excited to talk to you about Bioptimizers. They have created an incredible formula called Magnesium Breakthrough. I'm taking it every night. It's so funny. Even my husband's like, babe, can I have some of that Magnesium Breakthrough by Bioptimizers? I'm like, yes, babe. And I just pass it over to him. And so this month, they're including free bottles of their full line of digestive health products on select orders. Go to magbreakthrough.com/wasteaway. That's magbreakthrough.com/wasteaway, and enter the code wasteaway for an additional 10% off.
Now, I know that you have been working on, and I think you finished your emotional detox, and I want you to talk about that. Give us kind of your 3 best tips that you share in that course of what you need to do an emotional detox and why it is so important.
Yes, well, it's really interesting. I work with thousands of patients and I've found that a lot of people, they just don't get better doing physical approaches. Like say if they have hormone issues or they have chronic fatigue or they have a pain syndrome or whatever, what the case may be, and try all these different physical modalities, medications, programs, protocols, supplements, things like that, detox, and don't get better or really only have mild improvement in their conditions or symptoms. And what I found is that over the years, and even in my own pursuit of my own health journey, is that emotional trauma, it's very clear in the research, contributes to a tremendous amount of physical health issues. Like we see in the research that people have, here I have a document here I can open, that people have, 12 times the suicide rate if they have 4 or more adverse childhood experiences in their life. People have, far more use of antidepressants. There's like 16% of people are smokers that have had 4 or more adverse childhood events or traumatic events in their young adulthood. People have increased use of drugs. 28% of people use illegal drugs that have had 4 or more adverse childhood events. People have more, 50% of people have depression that have had 4 or more adverse childhood events. 12% of people are overweight that have had 4 or more adverse childhood events. 16% of those people are alcoholic. There's 2 times the rate of cancer, 2 times the rate of stroke, 3 times the rate of financial problems. 4 times more likely to have lung disease, 4.6 more times to have heart disease. And it just kind of goes on and on and on from there. So identifying and working on releasing your emotional trauma, releasing negative emotions or stuck emotions, goes so far to improve physical and mental health symptoms. And the program is very much about developing self-love, developing love for yourself and releasing negative emotions like self-hatred and worthlessness and powerless and survival fear and self-deprivation that everyone deals with on some level, whether they're aware of it or not, whether they're conscious of that or not. And a lot of people seek out talk therapy when they're not feeling well or they need direction. But the problem is most people are not consciously aware of what's going on with them. They're not consciously aware their trauma is still driving their behavior today, or that their trauma that they experience, that they develop core personality traits in response to this trauma that they experience at the hands of their caregivers as childhood, be it abuse or neglect or what have you, or just horrible things that happen to us, And so people don't have an awareness of them to be able to even talk about them in talk therapy. And so I go into all of this and how to release it through sound therapy. And there's a lot of conventional medical research done by brilliant doctors, Dr. Carlos Ventura, Professor Bessel van der Kolk, and so many other people that have really pioneered this research because, these emotional traumas they're stored in our energy field. We have this energy field about 10 feet in diameter around our body, and the HeartMath Institute has been instrumental in kind of some of this research, and they found that these emotional traumas of negative emotions have this energetic frequency. And if you do use sound therapy using other frequencies, you literally can tune these traumas out of your energy field and release them where they don't affect you anymore. They don't affect you physically or mentally anymore. And people they release all these negative emotions. They're able to experience emotions like peace and love and joy, which are the highest frequency emotions. That's where that's where we want to live. That's why we're listening to all these podcasts and doing all this health stuff and detox and all these different supplements. We really want peace, love, and joy. And I think people don't realize why that eludes them. And so I really dig into that and how we can kind of get in touch and reconnect with those positive emotions by releasing all this baggage that we're carrying around. And I really, I think this is the best work I've done in my life. I'm really, really proud of the emotional detox program. And there's a free masterclass if people want to delve a little bit deeper into this and the statistics and the solutions out there. This free masterclass, you can learn more at emo-detox.com.
All right, I have another question, and this question is from a girl named Wendy Watson King from Toms River, New Jersey. I've never heard of that area, but she said, I'm getting major headaches. So I got a gut test and had my stool checked, and I saw a functional medicine doctor, and they said that I had mold in my gut. This is so weird. I had my house tested, and they said that we did have some mold from the bottom level of our house, but he said that most houses have mold. The functional doctor said that I must have gotten the mold and it affected my digestive system, and that he said that if mold is ingested, and if you eat spoiled food, it has spores and it could be inhaled, and harmful substances like mycotoxins are produced and could be absorbed by the skin and can also affect the digestive system. I'm sorry, but sometimes these people seem like it goes over the top. Does this make sense to you? And I need to detox the gut. Do you think this makes sense? And do you have any tips? I thought
Yes.
that was the perfect question for you.
Yeah, it's a very good question.
It was a little bit longer than that, but I broke it down. It was a lot longer, but I shortened it.
Yeah, that's a very good question. The thing is, we're all exposed to mold, okay? And some people react to it and some people don't. And the difference is, the strength of our immune system and our genetics, but also the kind of the health of our gut. So people, you have to have a very healthy gut to be, because that's the seat of your immune system, to be resilient to mold and mold spores and not react to them. Okay, so yes, the doctor kind of has it right. I mean, I don't really have any concerns about mold and food. I mean, yeah, you don't want to eat moldy food or breathe it in or whatnot, but we all have mold, especially if you live in a humid environment. I walk into my house and I smell mold, but a lot of the more detrimental molds don't have a smell at all. So you just don't know that they're around. So yeah, you want to be vigilant about, you don't want to live in a moldy environment. But we also don't want to live in fear as well. But the thing is, it's not the virus or the bacteria or the mold, it's the terrain of our body that matters. And so whenever you have any kind of immune deficiency where you're becoming more susceptible to mold and having mold symptoms, you need to just work on your gut and strengthening your immunity. Okay. And so there's lots of different strategies out there. For me, what I recommend to people is I do bioenergetic medicine. I have a program called NES Health, NES Health. And I haven't seen anything like that to fix gut and immunity issues as easily, because it's not easy to fix the gut only doing biological things or physical things where you're eating, glutamine or your glycine, or you are drinking bone broth and fermented foods and things like that. It's not that simple, and I find those protocols can take a long time for people to heal their guts. I think if you're going to do something physical, there's a product called I think it's called Panacea. It's by remedylink.com. What that does is gives your body oligosaccharides. And so these are things found in different foods, but the guy that developed this, the product has 8 different oligosaccharides in it, and that will fix your gut issues. I mean, like that, within 24 hours. It's crazy. It'll correct your gut bacteria. It feeds your gut bacteria these sugars or oligosaccharides. And that is probably the quickest way to correct gut issues, which will in turn help to boost your immune system.
What is the site?
Remedylink.com. Remedylink.com. Yeah, so it's called Panacea. Very, very simple product, and it works rapidly. So probiotics kind of don't cut the mustard for a lot of people, though it's good to eat fermented foods. But the oligosaccharides are where it's at when it comes to fixing gut issue, gut dysbiosis, which a lot of people have.
And is that Panacea, that's in a powder that you have to
It's a powder. Yeah.
With water?
Yeah, it's a water smoothie or something like that.
And you really think it's that good?
Oh yeah. No, I know for sure. Yeah. And so it really kind of, for a lot of people, they are, they're just missing the mark on what they need to do. And I've seen people struggle for 2 years to fix their gut, doing the probiotics that have, which are in the fermented foods, and doing the bone broths and doing all these things that are supposed to heal the gut lining. So yeah, those things are great. But really, it's more effective if you do bioenergetic protocols like Nest Health, which will actually send your body correct operating instructions. It sends frequencies into your energy field. Your physical body takes instruction and direction from your energy field. So if you input new information, correct information, the physical body follows suit. And so doing a Nest Health program, you can do it at home. It's super, super easy. And it's really one of the most effective things that I've found for, fixing the gut, increasing nutrient absorption, and boosting immunity. I have people that autoimmune issues go away. They can only eat 5 foods. Now they can eat anything. Food sensitivities or immune system malfunction. That's all they are. And they're caused by leaky gut as well. For me, do the physical things I mentioned, but you also want to really fix things. You want to do a Nest Health bioenergetic program. But also another thing I didn't mention is there's a device called a Rife. So I have a Spooky 2 Rife. It's on spooky2.com. That can do a scan of your body, figure out exactly what molds you have, infections, parasites, send an opposite frequency, and it just explodes the membranes of whatever infection it is that you have, and it leaves all of your good bacteria and your healthy tissues and cells intact. Because it's very difficult, one, to figure out what molds and what parasites and bacteria you have. Functional medicine is just kind of in the Stone Ages when it comes to, you do this test, and it's like hundreds or, even thousands of dollars. I spent $4,000 on functional medical tests, a long time ago, in one shot. And then it takes weeks for the results to come back, and they don't really test enough things. It's just, there's just better ways to go about it. So when you do like a scan of your body with a Spooky 2 or any Rife product out there, you can figure out exactly what you have, send frequencies to your body to address it, and get relief very, very, very quickly. So it's just a more efficient, more effective system.
How much are those Spooky 2 Rife machines?
Well, it just depends. So the Spooky 2 is with the cheapest Rife that I've seen on the market. You can get started with a setup that's about $1,000. The one that I have is about $2,500, but that it has like the strongest frequencies and equipment and can really treat any kind of health issue. But you can get started for like $1,000.
So if you've been enjoying the show, please give us a review on Apple Podcast or whatever platform you're listening to. Take a screenshot of it and email it to questions@chantelrayway.com. The first 15 people who do that will get an amazing free gift. You will get an exclusive interview of the Thin Eaters and what they do to stay thin and make sure they stay in trim top shape. Go to Apple Podcasts, take a snapshot of it, email it to questions@chantelrayway.com, and I'll send you your gift. And if you don't feel like making the review and you want to pay $79 to get this video, it is well worth it. Just go to chantelrayway.com and download it and buy it.
So I'll ask you, so right here on my forehead, I have it in 2 places. I have one on my elbow. I have a little bit of psoriasis right here. And then I also have it on my forehead. And it was funny because my girlfriend said to me, she's like, I just don't understand how you even have psoriasis. She's like, you are literally the healthiest person that I know. She's like, you're constantly eating organic and you're doing cryotherapy and the sauna and this and that. And she's like, you of all people should not have it. So what would you say for those people out there like me who kind of feel like they're doing everything right, but they're still struggling with skin issues, what would you say are kind of some suggestions to do? Would you go back to kind of some of the gut issues?
No, I'm thinking if you've been doing everything physically, then it's time to either go the bioenergetic route and do something like a Nest Health program, or work on emotional trauma and work on releasing some of the emotions that may be an underlying root trigger for stress that might then aggravate that type of condition. Emotional trauma can underlie really any type of physical health issue. But when you do a Nest Health bioenergetic scan, it will look at your skin, it'll look at your immunity, it'll look at your gut, and it will correct any of those issues that are contributing to that. So you want to, graduate beyond the physical, go to bioenergetic and the emotional trauma route, because those are the two frontiers left that you need to address.
So talk about the Nest Health just a little bit more of what that's about, and have you done it, and what is the protocol that you did for that?
Oh yeah, I've been doing it for about 7 years. And that was my first foray into working on emotional trauma, because when you do a scan, you do a voice scan, so you can do it anywhere in the world. We have clients all over the world. You do a voice scan, it picks up the frequencies of about 500 different data points. So energetic blocks on your chakras, your meridians, your emotional traumas, your food sensitivities, your heavy metals and chemicals, your nutrient deficiencies, your just so many different things, and then it gives you a protocol, so it will quantify what are the most important things, the highest priorities that you need to work on, and then it will give you a protocol in the form of infoceuticals. These are waters that have frequencies imprinted on them, and then when you take those infoceuticals, you take a few drops per day, once a day, that will send these frequencies, these new operating instructions to your body, and that in turn corrects the physical health issues, because your physical body takes instruction from your energy field. And there's also, masses of communication going on, trillions of things happening per second that are happening, where your body is sending instructions to different parts of your body. Your whole body is communicating in this energy field. It's not just happening on a biochemical neurotransmitter hormone level. Everything that's going in our body, there's not enough, it can't be accounted for just biochemically. And this is well documented in the medical research. They don't know how a lot of things are happening. They don't know why, what generates our heartbeat. So they don't know, there's a lot of different, they don't know, our mitochondria don't produce enough energy to run our whole body. That's because our mitochondria only produce 25% of our energy. The rest coming from the sun, the rest is coming from our energy field. That's being, we have different inputs of energy. And so, there's like 45 years of research behind Nest Health, and it's different in its protocols. There's another device, I don't have it near me, but it's called a My Health. It's another optional thing you can use, and it has it has hundreds of functions in it that when you do a Nest Health scan, you get like the top 6 functions in the My Health that you need to use to correct the top priorities that are found in the scan. And you do a scan about once a month. And if you actually do the program, if you do it for 6 or 12 months, it really, really works. If you do it once or twice, you're not really going to see fireworks, but you can get a lot of improvement in symptoms just in the first month or two, like better sleep, improved energy, feeling less stress, managing stress better, things of that nature, releasing trauma. And so it can be very, it's even just the first month or two, you can see a lot of difference.
Now, there is a machine that I had heard about, and it's one of those where you hold it. I'm trying to think what the lady's name was. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Biomeridian.
No, you just hold the machine. It's supposed to kill parasites.
It's like Hulda Clark.
Yeah, the Hulda Clark machine.
Yeah.
So
the zapper.
The zapper, yeah. So do you feel like, because the Spooky 2 Rife machine is supposed to kind of remove virus, bacteria, parasites, candida, fungus from the body. Mm-hmm. And do you feel like it really does do all that? Like, are you a huge fan of it?
Oh, without question, without question. I mean, there's a Facebook group of Spooky 2 users with over 30,000 people in it. I mean, they have crazy stories in there. I mean, without
Oh,
question. And
wow.
I've used it on myself for, bladder infections or for candida infections or for, getting a cold or whatever the case may be. I'll use it in, a couple days. I'm good. I used it for prion. I had a prion infection in my brain. At one point I used it for that. I've had people with diarrhea come, their diarrhea clears up, for the most part with one session. People with gut infections. I mean, just most people that come, we're in Mexico. So most of my friends will show up on my door if they have gut infections,
Yeah, I was going to say like a lot of parasites,
yeah.
a lot of parasites and gut infections, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, the zapper is like, it does work, but it's not really sophisticated like the Rife, which, does a scan, finds out the exact, cooties that you have, and then it sends the exact frequencies you need to kill those. So it's very, very exact. It's like using a sniper approach as opposed to a shotgun approach, where the zapper is just sending some generalized electric frequencies through your body that the parasites don't like, and it kills them. But it's not going to be as effective, especially if people have pretty bad infections. So, but it can't help. But it's very the zappers are, I think, are like $30, or I mean, they're not. There's ones online that are very, very inexpensive, but you get what you pay for them.
Yeah. So you say that you feel like getting that Rife machine and then going to remedylink.com and getting that Panaceum, the combination of those two kind of can really put you on a whole new train.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's lots of different ways to approach your health, but, I've tried a lot of different things, and, I've been doing this for quite some time. And so that's what I use. And this is kind of like the combination of things I found that really work.
I love it. Well, tell listeners where they can find you and where they can follow you.
Yeah, so you can find me on MyersDetox.com. I also have the Myers Detox Podcast, and we have 450 episodes that I've done over the last 10 years. And you can also take my free masterclass on emotional detox at emo-detox.com. And I'm on all the social media at MyersDetox.com and YouTube at Wendy Myers.
Love it. Well, you guys stay tuned. We've got another episode coming up in just a few. Bye-bye for now.